Hello everyone, my name is Han. I will be your lecturer for Import-Export Management course this semester. Before we start our lessons, let's take a look at the syllabus of this course. As you already know, the course ID is IS074IU and this course is for undergraduate students. This course has 3 credits and this is a required course. Import-export management course will provide you necessary knowledge, skills, and foundations for activities related to import and export management. So here is the main textbook I will use for this course. The first one is Export-Import Theory, Practice, and Procedures of Sejong. You can find this book in the library of our university. And the second one is the International Economics of Rumen. If you need an ebook of this one, you can ask me. I will give you the ebook. And the course outline, we will have totally 15 weeks. In the first week, I will teach you the overview, introduction to import export. You have to know what is import export and what is difference between them. And in the second week and third week, we will learn about marketing and strategy of exporting. And the fourth week and fifth week, we will learn about the trade terms, that is Incoterms. And then we will learn about pricing for export, how to calculate price when we export products. And the seventh week, we will learn about trade, documents, and transportation. And after that, we will have midterm exam. Midterm exam will be open book. And after midterm exam, we will learn about international payment, what kind of payment we can make. And then the next 3 weeks, we will learn about trade policy. The first one is classification and tariff, then international contracts, then how can we negotiate with the buyers and sellers. And in 14th week, we will learn about custom procedures and presentation. This is I will spend 14 and 15 week for you guys to present your project, and then we have final exam. And also final exam will be open book. So the cost assessment, we will have one midterm exam that takes 30% of your overall score. You have projects, quiz, and homework that takes 30%, and final exam will take 40% of your overall score. Okay, if you have any question, you can send email to me, that is here, or you also can find me in my office room 02602. Okay, for the project, I will send you the requirement and also one sample so that you will know what you have to do for your report and what are requirements for your projects. I will upload it in your Blackboard. If you don't understand, please send me an email. Today we will learn the first lessons, that is introduction to import and export. In these lessons, we have 4 learning expectations. The first one, you have to define and classify export and import. What are different between export and import? The second point, you have to define the major types of export. And the third one, you have to determine the factors that affect trade volume and how to calculate the trade volume of each country. And finally, you have to identify the internal and external factors that may affect import and export. Okay, so what is export and import? Export is when the goods and services flow out of a country. So exporting happens when the sale and delivery of goods and service by a firm based in one country to a customer residing in a different country. And exporting results in receipts from the customer. When we export, we enforce less control over the marketing function. How about imports? Imports is when the goods and the service flow into a country. I will give you an example later so that you will have a clearer idea about export and import. So it's converse to export. When we import, the purchase is the purchase of goods and services by a firm based in one country from the seller. The seller will reside in the different countries, and it results in payments to the sellers. And when we import, we will control over the production function less. Let me give you an example. I have a company based in Vietnam and another company based in Germany. Why I take Germany as an example here? Because Germany is the top country which imported coffee from Vietnam the most. Okay, so the company in Germany will make order to the company in Vietnam. Then the company in Vietnam will prepare coffee and deliver coffee to Germany. And after that, Germany will pay money, transfer money to the company in Vietnam. So based on the definition I told you earlier, can you determine which country is exporter and which one is importer? Yeah, Vietnam is exporter and Germany is importer because the coffee, their products and services flow from Vietnam to Germany. So that is exporting. Okay, and the goods and service flow into Germany. So Germany is import. Okay. So what is import and export management? Import and export management are all the activities such as like strategic planning, organizing, implementing, supervising, and controlling all the imports and export activities from the beginning until the end of a business operation cycle. So what is the business operation cycle? We look at here. Go back our example again. So to find a buyer in Germany, the company in Vietnam have to search and to find the customer in Germany, right? So when they search the company and they find the buyer in Germany, that is when the business operation cycle start. Then they negotiate, then they sign the contract. Then after signing the contract, they will implement the contract. So from the moment the company in Vietnam search then negotiate, sign contract until the end of the contract implementation. That one is a business operation cycle. So why we have to do import export? Like the question proposed is, I just produce in my country, why I have to buy products from other countries? So let me give you an example to clarify why we have to do the international trade. On 14 February 1996, an American guy bought a dozen of roses for his wife, and since then, that day is recognized as Valentine's Day. And a lot of Americans buy roses for their lover on 14 February. To satisfy the demand for rose, US has to spend a lot of money to grow rose, and since it's winter, so the cost for growing 10 million rose is equal to the cost producing 100,000 computers. Then they realized that in Colombia, because it's summer instead of winter in Colombia, so the cost of growing 10 million rows is only equal to 30,000 computers. So we can see, if we grow 10 million rows in Colombia, we will have more advantage. We will lower the cost, and that cost we call it opportunity cost. So instead of producing 10,000 computers, they spend that money to growing 10 million rows. So the opportunity cost for growing 10 million rows is 100,000 computers. Or another way, the opportunity cost of producing 100,000 computers is 10 million rows. So what are they thinking is, US just focus on producing computers, and that Colombia take care of 10 million rows, then they will buy the rows from the Colombia. So let's look at this table. We can see, if we do international trade, the total rows is provided in the world is the same. That is 10 million rows, but the number of the computer is produced in the world increase 70,000 computers. So let's look at the table. We can see how is beneficial. So if US just focus on producing the computer and let Colombia take care of growing the rows, the number of the total quantity of the rows the world producing is the same. However, the number of computer the world produce increase. So it helps the economic pie of the world bigger, and then the living of standard of everyone will be increased. Okay, that is the reason why we should or import and export. So all in all, basically, the main two basic reasons that the countries do international trade is the first one, they are different from each other. So maybe US are better at producing computer, but Colombia is better at growing rose, for example. They have different strengths. And the second reason is uh, international trade will help the countries achieve economies of scale in production. What are the advantages of export? When we export, of course, we can increase the revenues and profitability of the company. And when we have more order, more customer, we can achieve the economy of scale in production and research. Also, when we have many customer, we can reduce the marketing cost and we can diversify our market. How about import? Why we should import? When we import, we can decrease the cost. Like example I gave you earlier in Tesla, losing 100,000 computers, they only lose 30,000 computers. And since they can decrease the cost, they can focus on their strengths. So they will have their comparative advantages and they can increase the competitiveness and profitability as well. Since they only focus on the strength, so we can secure the higher quality products or component. We also can minimize the investment in like equipment or factory for produce those products that we are not good at or we have to spend a lot of cost instead of importing. And since we import from overseas, so we can diversify suppliers, we have more options to choose. Let's look at how people view on trading. So what America thinks is mainly negative. They think trading is negative with 53%. However, the expert and the economists think they totally agree that trading have their economy better. Basically, we can get a lot of benefit from trading. So maybe before studying this course, you think international trade is not important and is not beneficial, but after studying this course, I hope that all of you can understand why international trade is very important recently nowadays. Okay? Okay, we just go through the first part and let's go to the second important part, that is the major types of export. So we have two main types of export. The first one is direct export and indirect export. So direct export is we directly export our products to distributors or foreign retailers or final end user, I mean the customer overseas. Indirect export is we also sell the goods and service to overseas but via an intermediary in the domestic market. So like we have third party in the domestic market, and they will have sell their products to overseas. Okay, so both of them have advantages and disadvantages. So let's go through the advantages of direct export. When we sell directly to the customer, we can control better the market function, right? And because we don't need to pay money for the third party, uh, so we can get more money, we can earn higher profit, and we will have the closer relationship with the overseas buyer, and we will get more familiar with the marketplace. Because when you use the indirect export, you just take care of everything in the domestic, and you leave the market and the partner, the buyers overseas, for the third party, for the intermediary. So we will not have a closer relationship with them, right? However, if we use the indirect export, we also have uh, advantages. For example, we just need to focus on producing. We don't need to take care of marketing. We just leave everything for the third party. And we also don't need to spend money. We don't need to worry about the financial commitment. Okay. Okay. Let me talk more about the third party intermediaries. So the third party intermediaries is independent. It's not related to the exporter or importer. So it's a independent company, independent firm that facilitate the international trade transactions by assisting both importers and exporters. Okay. For example, my company want to export coffee to the company in Germany, but I just want to focus on producing coffee, or I don't want to focus much on documentary or the process how to export the coffee to Germany. So I just leave everything. I just let the third party intermediary help me uh, handle with those process. So it's like they will be the bridge between me and the company in the Germany, or the bridge between importers and exporters. Okay. So the export intermediaries may perform those functions. They stimulate sales, obtain orders, and conduct the market research. So they will find their customer for you. They will find the company who want to buy product from the exporter. So they stimulate the sales. They also perform the credit investigations and payment collection activities. Also, they will take care of like transportation, documentary, shipping details, and also they can provide the support for client sales, distribution, and promotion stuff. Okay, so we have two main types of export intermediaries. The first one is called EMC, that is export management companies, and the second one is piggyback exporting. EMC is an independent company that help the manufacturer export their products under the manufacturer name. And normally the small manufacturer will export their product via EMC. The EMC will take the commission from the manufacturer. Piggyback exporting is also called as co-exporting. It's where an exporter permits another company, which already has an export distribution system in place, to sell their products. For example, my company sell the hair brush, and another company uh, sell shampoo. So normally hairbrush, so we want to combine hairbrush and shampoo, and the shampoo company already have their exporting system. So my company will cooperate with that company and export it via their exporting system. Okay, so those are about the channel, the different channel, direct channel and indirect channel that a country can export to other countries. And let's look at what type of products we are trading in the world. So here, look at this figure. We can see in Asia, mostly 84% we export related to manufacturers, and 10% are fuels and mining products, and 6% related agriculture, and so on and so forth. You can see the percentage of export part of other countries in the world. How about Vietnam? What kind of products we export or import? And how is the level of exporting in Vietnam compared to Asia? Please take a look at this video. So at first, Philippines is in the first place in 1950 something, and Vietnam is in the bottom compared to other countries in Asia. And in 1973, Singapore, then to 74, Indonesia become the first place in exporting. You can see how it changing in Asia. So late 1990s, Vietnam became the seventh place in exporting. Okay, so Vietnam from the fourth place in 2017 jumped to the second place in 2019. So during 50 years, we can see a big change in Vietnam exporting fuel. Then let's see what our countries export to other countries. Okay, here is top 10 are the products that we export to other countries. And the first place is phone and accessory of the phone. The second type products we export is our computer and accessory, and then clothing, shoes. Okay. Okay, we already go through two parts. First one is uh, how to distinguish import and export and what kind of activities they do in international trade, and how many type of export we have. Also disadvantage and advantage of different type of export. And now we go to the third part, the trade volume. Like, as we see earlier in the video, Vietnam become the second place in Asia for exporting. So it's measured by the trade volume. This graph shows us the import export amount and balance of trade between Vietnam and Laos from 2012 to 2017. As we can see, from 2012 to 2015, we import more than export. That's why we have deficit in balance of trade. But 2016 and 2017, we export to Laos more than import. So we have the balance of trade. Balance of trade is positive. It's when the surplus happens. So the amount of products two countries trade with each other, we call it trade volume. So what kind of factors affect the trade volume between two countries? That are geography, distance, and the size. The size here is not the size of country, but that one is economy size, measured by GDP. GDP is stand for gross domestic products. Okay, we can see that the world's largest economy after the US are Japan, Germany, UK, France, and China. So why is the country economy size is so important for the trade volumes? Because if that countries has larger economies, they will produce more goods and service, right? So they will have more products to sell to the market. And also larger economies will generate more income. So when people have more income, they will spend more on shopping for goods and service. That's why they increase the demand for both domestic goods and also imported goods. That's why the trade is concentrated among developed countries, because the developed countries has always have the larger economies. And we can see 50% of current world trade is between developed countries, and only 12% of current world trade is between developing economies. Okay, look at the figure 2 set 2. We can see this one is the trade between US and other European countries. So the three country that US trade the most is Germany, UK, and France. And we can see that Germany, UK, and France are three largest European economies, right? So this one proof that the size of the country economies matters to their volume trade. And those Germany, UK, and France have the highest values of GDP. Okay, do you Newton method that they the gravity is equal to 10 times the weight of the products? And based on the Newton method, they also use the gravity equation for bilateral trade. So we have Tij is bilateral trade between countries I and J. Dij is the distance between two countries, and Y is the country income GDP. Yi is the GDP country income of country I, and Yj is the GDP of the country J. So we use this function formula to calculate the trade between two countries. And we use the regression to calculate the parameter A, B, and C, and as well as the constant A. So they find out that the best fit of the gravity equation use the coefficients A, B, and C that are very close to 1, so that we have a new formula that Tij is equal to A times Yi times Yj divided by Dij. Okay, so here we can see the trade volume has the positive relationship with the size or the size economy of the country or the country income, and they have the negative relationship with the distance. For you to understand more about this formula, please help me to do this example, and please do this example and send it to me as an homework. So for example, I want to calculate the bilateral trade between Vietnam and US. We will have, let's say A is equal to 1. We can calculate the trade volume between Vietnam and US is equal to the economic size of US times the economic size of Vietnam, then divide by the distance between US and Vietnam. Okay, so on so forth. You can calculate the volume trade between Vietnam and Japan, Korea, Australia, China, and India. So we have two main factors that affect the trade volume, that is distance and the size of the countries' economies. Beside that one, they also have more characteristic of the country pair relationship matter for the trade volume. For example, they share a common border. So as when you calculate here, maybe you can find that China and Vietnam has more trade volume because we have the common border with China. Or two countries share the common language. They also tend to trade with each other more because it will be easier. They speak same language. Okay, or another characteristic is former colonial ties. For example, we are under we China colonized us like more than 1,000 years, so we tend to trade with China more, for example, and also immigration flows or other cultural ties. For example, we have the same culture. It also matters to the trade volume. Let's go through all the factors that affect the bilateral trade flows, and we also know how important it is to do the international trade. Then in the next part, let's see what factors affect the success of international trade. We separate into different groups. The first one is the forces that we, the importers and exporter, can control, and the second one is those factors that importers and exporters cannot control. We can control the availability of the capital, right? And also finance. We also can control the raw materials, technology, production, and marketing capabilities. However, we cannot control, for example, foreign exchange rate, inflation, interest rate, or other physical conditions like geographical location, natural resource, market size, climate, and trading relationship. We also cannot control the political, like some issue related to politics and legal conditions. Okay, we also cannot control those things related to culture or regulation or legal systems. And also fluctuation of foreign exchange currency and risk. Okay, so I hope the lesson today will give you a better view about import and export. Of course, it's just an overview. For more detail, we will study in the next lessons. And please remember to do this example and submit it to me in Blackboard. Thank you.